What's cracking, party people? It's your girl Nicole Banister, aka NIKKI BANZ. Today is Tuesday, so you already know the vibes. This is NIKKI BANZ Live. What's up? What's up? What's up? Hello, everybody. I missed you all last week. I missed you so much. I couldn't go live last week because I was filming a TV show, which is just mind-blowing. Just incredible. I can't wait to share all of it with you. It hasn't been released yet, but it's gonna come out on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com/GSEA competition, you can subscribe there and the show will be coming out there. So I'm just like so totally blessed. I had so much fun on the set, the crew, the production team, all of the amazing students who are participating in this competition. It was just unbelievable. We had celebrity guest judges from all over the world. It was so cool. And honestly, quick side note, let me just tell y'all that I got the gig from this little show right here, NIKKI BANZ Live. The producer literally DM'd me being like, hey, I watch your show every week. Do you want to come in for a casting? Like, for real, that's how it happened. Nobody pays me to do NIKKI BANZ Live. Nobody sponsors me. I just do it by myself on my own because I thought, you know what? Like, I don't have a TV show. I don't have a big network behind me. So I just got to start my own. So I just started going live with dope people from all over the world. And then look at that. Now I've been cast in a TV show, filmed a whole TV show just from this show. So always follow your dreams, kids. That is my advice for you today. Just keep shining. Keep following those dreams. Don't let anybody tell you no. All right? Your mindset matters. And mindset is something that my guest today is definitely going to be talking to us about. Today, I have an amazing guest for you all. I'm so excited for this. She was actually meant to come on last week, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, you can't do the show because you're filming. And it was the first time ever in a year of doing NIKKI BANZ Live that I didn't go live on Tuesday because I just couldn't. I was on set. I was in the studio. I was doing my thing. And she's so graciously rescheduled for today. So I cannot wait. Her name is Sonya Mulkeet. She is an absolute star. She's one of the co-founders of Project Nightfall. She's an entrepreneur. She's a content creator, and she's passionate about mindset and mental health and wellness. And so I think we're just going to have a really dynamic conversation. She might even throw me some questions. So it's going to be tremendous. I'm so excited. So excited. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring her on right now. I cannot wait. So we're going to have her on and I'm going to go live right now. Sonya Mulkeet, ladies and gentlemen, coming in hot. I know she's in the building. I'm going to bring her on right now. Here we go. Yay.
Your energy is infectious. Amazing. Give it to me.
I'm giving it all to you, just through the screen. Energy.
I felt it, and I'm so happy for you. I mean, that's so amazing. Like, for anyone here, the first time we spoke, like on Instagram, she said to me, oh, I just have my show, over here because I don't have my own show yet. I just do this here. And in a few weeks, like what, 2 months or so, she's like, I have my own show. It's so cool. Like, it's so inspiring. Your energy is amazing. I wish I was interviewing you. We'll do some of that today.
We will.
We will. I need to know who is this person who's like kind enough to want to give me some of their day.
Oh my gosh. I knew immediately when I saw you at NAS Summit that we were going to connect. And I always like to start this show by telling folks how I know the guests who are here. So I met Sonya at the NAS Summit in Dubai. And like, we didn't even really talk during the summit. Like you were,
in the you were on like, stage. I was like, she has so much confidence.
Exactly.
That was it.
And then we were like at the very end, like at the after
last night, after party or something. Very brief.
Literally. And I was like you.
I saw your face and your energy as how can anyone not in my head.
Exactly. And I was like,
we need
Thank
you for having me.
Oh my gosh. Of course. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you. I know it's late for you. It's like 10 p.m., I think, for you in Bali.
It's okay. 10 p.m. is still fine. Well, yeah. That'll be fine.
I'm so grateful. We're truly like cross-continental here. Like you're in Indonesia. I'm in South Africa.
I am.
Like,
and
everywhere.
It's because of you that I'm going live on Instagram. Like I've never, ever, ever gone live on Instagram. And thank you so much for pushing me to go live. Like, I'm sure, you know, if there's anyone here from my side, I'm sure they'll be really glad to see my face a little bit more than they are used to seeing on a general basis.
You know,
so
this could be the start of something amazing for you. You could be going live every single week now.
Every week. Sonya's just live.
You know? Exactly. Well, I am so honored to have you here. Thank you for coming on Nikki Banz Live, Sonya. I can't wait to dive in to get to know you, the fabulous you, and all of you. And I think what I want to start with is I kind of want to ground everyone who's watching this right now in like who you are as a person. So maybe we can take it back to like the early days, because I know you're very cross-cultural, multicultural. You've lived in different places, grew up in different places. So talk to us about like young Sonya, family life. Like, let's start from the beginning.
I was born and raised in Singapore, very, very close to my mom's side. My parents are divorced, so it was very, very close to my mom's side. Raised in like a huge family, like 10 of us living together kind of a situation. My grandpa, grandma, my mom, uncle, aunts, cousin. So you kind of take everyone's energy, and that's why I'm an extrovert, and it's just like you need to scream to be heard kind of a situation in that family. But it's all love. It's really amazing to have been raised by a really powerful single mom. And my mom did that, you know, while working, and you too, I'm guessing. Yeah, and I think that probably defined my early days, being raised by my mom and her whole family, and kind of just like young Sonya was very like outgoing, and just like she loved all the attention. And then by the time I started getting into my teens, I think I started becoming a little bit more cynical. And it's really like it's been a journey, because I feel like now I'm back at the point where I'm like my most authentic self, who I'm supposed to be, who I'm meant to be, who I always was. And I relate more to that child. And the last maybe like 10 years or so, I was not that person. So when you say, tell me who's Sonya, it's a little bit tough, because I can tell you who Sonya is now, but Sonya has had phases, as I'm sure most people have. I'm just a totally different person from who I was, say, 2 years ago. Like, I don't even recognize that girl. I have no idea. Like, yeah.
Okay. Well, I love this story, and I love hearing that you have changed and you have shifted and you have evolved, because you're setting the example for the rest of us, you know, saying you don't have to be the same thing over and over. You don't have to just be a monolith, just not one person. You can grow. So maybe maybe tell us some of the pivotal turning points, you know, from young Sonya to the Sonya that you feel like you are today.
Okay. It's a long story, but I'm going to try and keep it shorter. So, I think that I kind of like went along with life a lot, you know, like you kind of pick and choose whatever is in front of you. I didn't really like have a clear direction. So I just went with what was there. Life was happening to me. And then I think by the time I reached like my like 16, 17, you start like, you know, dating, and like school gets like really serious. You're gonna go to uni, and I was never one for studies. Like, it was just not my thing. I was like in drama club leading drama, and that was my thing, you know. Before that I was dancing, and I was president of dance, and that was my thing, but studies were never my thing. Somehow I managed to get into uni, and I think that's really when my going with the flow state took a big hit. Like, I ended up in my first incredibly toxic relationship, And that was 4 years. Because, you know, I think the part of like change is also realizing what kind of stories society feeds you. And I think one of the narratives that I was fed was loyalty means sticking by someone no matter what. Love means sticking by someone no matter what. That's what love is. But it's not, right? Love is not unconditional at your own expense, but it took a lot to like learn that. And so that was my first one. And then I thought, you know, it doesn't get worse than this. Like, it's just impossible. And I thought wrong. I really thought wrong. I was like, there's no way I date someone worse than this. It's impossible. But then I ended up in a relationship that I'm so grateful for. It was honestly the most traumatic time of my life. But I'm so grateful for it because I went into it, you know, in a relationship, but I came out, you know, with like a PhD in psychology and narcissistic behavior and all of that stuff. So very grateful. But to get back to the question of like, what was the pivotal moment? And a lot of people ask me that question, and I wish that I had a different answer because I don't wish this upon anyone else. But my pivotal moment came from reaching rock bottom. It was just reaching that point where I'm like, okay, I don't want to do life anymore. And it wasn't a joke, right? Like you know, this is it, I'm done. But thankfully I didn't go through with that. And that's when you start realizing I cannot do what I'm doing all the time anymore. Like I need to change everything. And I just became obsessed with understanding my subconscious. Like, what are my self-sabotaging beliefs? What, you know, I read somewhere that I think only 5% of our thoughts or something in a day are like conscious. And that just like really shocked me. I was like, whoa, that's a huge statistic. So what goes on in my subconscious, right? Like, what are the narratives that my culture has fed me? What is in my gene? What are my habits that are horrible? And so everything just, it's like a keystone thing. When you start to take your life under control, you take one thing and then it moves on to the next and the next. And then it becomes like, it just happens. And that's why in 2 years, I look back and I'm just not the same person. And I mean that in the best way possible. I love that girl. She was amazing also. And it's a lot of self-compassion as well when you're like growing and realizing you've made mistakes. But yeah, change is so possible if you make it your priority. And I think that's just what my mental health journey has been all about.
Wow,
I told you it was going to be.
Hey, we have a whole hour, girl. We can talk.
That's true.
We are in no rush for time.
That is true.
Like, Sonya, I love what you just said. You said love is not unconditional at your own expense. No. That is so powerful. And I think that's so relatable, not only in romantic relationships, but in friendships, in familial relationships, because sometimes we know family doesn't always have our best interests at heart, you know? So I think, like, you know, I always try to pick like a quote of the interview. I'm like, how'd you give the quote of the interview in the first 10 minutes? Damn, girl. Like,
I hope there'll be more.
There will be. I'm certain there will be. And I'm like, I so appreciate you being vulnerable with us and being transparent and sharing, because these are the types of conversations that we need to have around mental health, around self-love, around compassion. Because if people don't see, you know, people like us having these conversations and having them, you know, writ large on a big scale, then people maybe feel shy to have them, you know, on their own.
It's so liberating, right? Like I was so ashamed of it. Like, for the longest time, like, you look at yourself and you're like, you're that person. You're that girl who did this to herself, who allowed this to happen to herself, who was with this person. You just feel so embarrassed. And the last thing you want to do is kind of like be naked in front of people. But then when you make your life's goal that I just want to reach as many past versions of myself, you cannot talk about mental health and inspire people if you just don't be vulnerable. And so I think that's I speak with so much ease today because I've had to do it before. But the first few times were terrifying. Like so terrifying. I was like, shit, do I really want to do this right now?
Right.
And I'm so glad that I have, and I will keep doing it because I'm proud of myself. Like, there's people are boring if they're just the same people all the time, you know?
Yes.
I am so, like, honestly proud of myself, and I just want to share that with people. You can be horrible at one point in your life and then be great and be like, whoa, good job.
Wow. I
Where am I headed next?
Literally. And you should be proud of yourself because you have come a long way, and it has been a journey of resilience, and it's so important. And so, you know, you shared some of the pivotal moments when you were able to transition, when you were able to really think about changing your life, when you hit rock bottom from these different relationships. What are some of the tips, some of the strategies that you use to actually then, you know, when you came to those pivotal moments, to actually then shift and launch yourself into the new Sonya?
It's so many things. First of all, I got therapy, and that really, really helps. I'm all for therapy. I feel like no matter how sordid someone is, they could use therapy, because if you've got a right person with you, it's just a way for you to just be a better version of yourself all the time. So therapy really helped me. I think I owe so much to it. I owe so much to also then slowly, like, taking baby steps. I think I used to be really impatient with myself. I still catch myself sometimes, but when you want to, like, change everything, you're like, I'm so far away from it. But I think that just starting with one thing is so powerful. Like, just one thing. Okay, I'm going to start just working out because I'm depressed, and I know scientifically if I work out and, like, endorphins are released, I'm gonna be happier in that moment. And then you just, like, take one small little step, and then it goes over. You start to feel like these small victories that you celebrate, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do something else and something else, and it spills over. It's not stopped by any means, by the way. Like, you just keep going. But that was it. The biggest thing was to just have compassion for yourself. And to take the help that you need to take. I think it was so tough for me to admit that I needed therapy. Then when I got to admit that I need to take meds, that was like, oh, how dare you even, like, suggest that I need meds. And then it's like, okay, you take it for like a month or two, and you realize I don't need it anymore. I just put it off because I didn't need it anymore. It helped me at my lowest, and then I helped myself. So yeah, baby steps.
Wow. I love what you just shared right there, that the medicine helped you at your lowest, and then you were able to help yourself. Because I think I actually recently had a conversation with someone who was saying that they don't want to go to therapy because they don't want to have to go to therapy for the rest of their life. And I thought that was a really interesting perspective and take on it, because I think this speaks to what you just shared, that, like, actually, you know, it's not that it's not that you have to go to therapy for the rest of your life. It's not that you have to do these things. You have to take medicine to support you, or you have to, you know, go to an acupuncturist. It's not that you have to do those things consistently for the rest of your life. It's that to me, it's like those people and those resources are supporting you. They're aiding you to getting you to the point where you want to be, where you don't need them. You don't rely on them anymore.
Exactly.
And then you can go do your own thing.
You can. I mean, I will always say, like, I was talking about it with Aegon the other day, and I will always say that it wasn't the meds that got me out of my shitty situation. It was just at that lowest point, like, it kind of helps you a little bit, regulates your emotionality. And then it was me. It was every single day me waking up and going, okay, I'm going to do yoga right now. I'm going to do this and that to just restore myself. And, like, it's trial and error, you know?
Yeah.
At that moment, okay, I'm feeling like shit. Do I give in, succumb? Am I going to, like, just play the victim for the rest of my life? Is that the narrative I want to create? Or do I want to create the narrative that I can change anything? as in when I want. And then you start to like really feel it. It's fun. It's amazing. It's so empowering. I want everyone to be able to feel this emotion of like life doesn't happen to you. And of course we have like different situations. Like obviously some people don't have access to therapy. But whatever you can do, I just want people to know that there's always something more you can do than you think. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautifully said. And you're giving us so many like practical things we can do, right? You've talked about yoga, you've talked about exercise, you've talked about therapy, you know,
reading,
journaling, right? Like,
yeah, journaling.
Yeah. Like I have a, I call it a gratitude journal. So I don't write in it every single night, but like maybe like 4 or 5 times a week, I'll write in it. I just literally write 3 things. I say, I'm thankful for, and I write 1 sentence. Number 2, I'm thankful for, I write 1 sentence. Number 3, I'm thankful for. And whether it's family or friends or a certain experience that I had or an emotion or even being resilient and overcoming something that I thought I couldn't. I was like, I'm thankful for overcoming this thing that I didn't think I could make it through, you know? And it's great to journal.
It is. It's amazing. It's like, I was practicing that at one point as well, like writing it down. Now I kind of like make a mental note in my head, just 3 things as well. I don't know where I learned about it, but it was so useful. And then you start to really go back. Like you're having coffee and you're like, where did the beans come from? How did it get imported? Like what went into what I'm enjoying right now? There is so much to be grateful for.
Right.
Like in every single moment, everything you touch, everything you see, everything that's right before you. I mean, our conversation, right? I'm so grateful that there's someone who saw me and thought, you know, let me have a chat with her. Yes. Everything, you know?
Yes. Yeah. I'm totally with you.
And I want to know more about you.
Yes, babe. What do you want to know?
I saw that there were a few moments where you were like, you looked like you could relate, and I'm just so curious because it always makes me click more with someone when I fully know them. So I really want to know, what's your journey been? I know you've been pushing through and working hard on your own. I happened to like catch a clip of you saying that I think you were interviewing the chief marketing officer of Netflix. Yes, and you mentioned in that emotional reel, I believe, that, you know, people didn't believe in you. Yeah. And here you are doing this. Yeah. And first of all, who is that person? Like, what the hell are they thinking?
Right.
But also tell me about yourself.
Yes, babe. Well, thank you so much for asking. And I love that you are like a conversation starter, you know, and here.
I want to know.
I know. Not just me interviewing you asking me questions as well. And I think that my journey of resilience largely comes from, you know, overcoming work trauma. And so, you know, I was very fortunate, very privileged to have a really lovely family life. You know, my mom and dad are still together. We grew up in a multicultural, multinational household. My dad is Black American from the United States, and my mom is from Iran. And, you know, so we grew up in this household where it was never black or white, right? Like it was my mom had one opinion, my dad had another opinion, and then they would look at me and my brother and say, okay, what do you think? Right? So
amazing.
It was always like different perspectives, different thoughts. And then we grew up moving all over the place. So I love that you were, you know, born and raised in Singapore. I lived in Singapore for 2 years. So I know, right? Connection.
Wow.
So I lived in Singapore for my first 2 years of high school. I went to the Singapore American School.
Hey. Yeah.
Yes. And so we lived in Singapore, we lived in Bolivia, we lived in California, we lived in Texas, we lived in Washington, D.C. Now I'm in South Africa. So we grew up all over the place. So I was very privileged to have this, you know, this lifestyle growing up where I was able to be exposed to different people, different perspectives, different backgrounds. And because of that, I ended up getting a job in international development. So I was like, I want to travel around the world and do good for people. I want to do social impact. So I was working Yes, I was working in the development sector, working in diplomacy, and I was every country. I was in a different month. Every month I was in a different country. Right. This month I was in Nigeria. This month I was in Cameroon. This month I was in Malawi. This month I was in Botswana. This month I was in Papua New Guinea. I was all
How
over
many
the place.
countries have you done? Tell me.
I think I'm at 46 now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I feel like you're also way up there.
I'm like early 30s. I think I'm like 31 or 30.
Okay. Yeah. So we're definitely on the upper tier of people who have been able to travel. Yes, which is amazing. And it's just like, so for me, being in that industry was great because I got to travel so much. But the deep, dark underbelly of the development sector is that it's largely, at least my experience was that it was largely white Americans and Europeans who were making decisions on behalf of Black African youth. And as a person of color, I very much struggled to be in an industry where I felt like decisions were being made for people and not with people, or by people. And so after almost a decade of being in diplomacy, you know, I worked at the United Nations, I've spoken at the United Nations, I have traveled, I've done all sorts of really amazing things in the development sector, but I decided about a year and a half ago, I was like, nope, I'm done with this, I can't do this anymore. I quit.
Good.
And
I
it was
quitting.
Yes, I'm so proud of myself for quitting, but it wasn't easy, you know, it was so hard.
That's your norm, like that's your comfort zone.
Right. And I burned a lot of bridges. I said no to a lot of opportunities and organizations and people who I felt like weren't serving me anymore. I lost a lot of friendships along the way. I lost a lot of opportunities. And so the last year and a half has been hard. But you know what? I just woke up and I said, you know what? I decide that I'm going to be a presenter and a host. This is what I'm doing. I've always wanted to be on camera.
That's quite random. Like, did it just like randomly pop into your head, or did you always have this like, you know, inclination towards this world?
You know, I was getting like little glimpses into this world forever. Like I had hosted when I was in high school. I had hosted on a television network. So I did a little bit then. And I was like, okay, that was lots of fun. And my mom was always like, you need to be a journalist. You need to do communications. So I got that. And then it was funny because I was traveling to all these different countries on, you know, for development work, for diplomacy. And I would always meet famous people. Like I would go to Papua New Guinea and meet the most famous rugby player in the country. Or I'd go to Zambia and meet the most famous rapper. And it was just like weird. Like, why do I keep meeting these people? And then I was like, this is the universe telling me I need to be amongst them.
Fine, take it.
Literally. So then I started this show, NIKKI BANZ Live, where every Tuesday I'm going live with amazing content creators like you, or artists, or entertainers, people from all over the world. Every week a different guest from a different country. And then through that, I've been able to book more and more hosting gigs, emceeing gigs, and now my own show.
So inspiring. Like this is it. That's my point. You can change, no matter how stuck you may seem, even in the workspace, you know. It was so terrifying for me to leave. I was a recruiter before I got into content creation, and it was like terrifying because I was living alone in Singapore, and that's not very common. Singaporeans live with their parents till like forever. And yeah, not my vibe. And I you know, had a job that was paying the bills, paying for the apartment and whatnot, and COVID hit, and I just knew that it had to change. And for me, it was just 2 years. For you, it's like a decade. So even more. I'm just so happy that you did it. Sometimes it's just about leaning in, I think. And as I have kept doing that, I've started to realize that the more you start listening to your, I don't mean inner voice like in your head, I mean like inner voice in your gut. The more you start like just canceling out the voices that are around you and really like making space for yourself, your most authentic self, the more in alignment you just behave, and then things come your way, really. And you create your path as you have. So it's just very, very nice when I see people just create their own destiny, and like you've done it, and it's so amazing.
Exactly. And thank you. And I think creating your own destiny is something that we all have the capability and the power to do, which is why I was asking you before about some of your strategies and resources. You know, I even saw somebody in the chat saying, ooh, I have an inkling that I should be in communications. Like, that is your gut. You know, that's what you were just saying, Sonya. Like, that's your gut telling you this might be the thing. This could be the thing that you should be doing, you know, and you have to trust it. And like, you just go to the edge of that cliff and you just jump. And I guarantee you, you're probably going to fly.
Fears that I think hold people back. And I think at that point, you just have to like ask yourself, what matters more? Like, what can you handle more? The feeling of regret or the feeling of failure? And I think your answer kind of dictates things. Like for me, I would rather just fail but try than be like 70 and go, what if I'd done that? It's just, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I think what's really interesting about your story, Sonya, is that you took, you know, incidences in your life, traumatic experiences, traumatic relationships, and you've now actually turned that into one of your greatest strengths, which is your content creation, right? Like the types of stories that you tell on your personal page, the types of stories that you tell through Project Nightfall, you know, you are really able to share really intense, really thoughtful, you know, things about wellness, about happiness, about people's, you know, about how people live their lives, and you know, and you've turned that into an asset. How were you able to do that? How were you able to transition these big moments and these big life lessons to content?
First of all, like having Aegon as a partner is like the biggest blessing in the whole wide world. If it weren't for him, I would never know how to, I wouldn't have known that. First of all, I wouldn't have that confidence in content. I had my preconceived notions because I was just an idiot. And so like, you know, judgmental. I felt like everyone on social media had like this, you know, front, and like that's not who they really are, and it's about this and that, and it's just about narcissism. And I had just made up my mind, and I wasn't even on social media. But then I met this guy, and he was using all of those views and the likes and the followers, and he was translating it to something that mattered. So for me, if it was just about picking up a phone and just making videos, personally, I don't think I would have found the purpose behind it. I could have done it if it was like, you know, I always loved acting. I would do that. I would be in front of a camera if I was acting. But just to talk about myself, it would just not be natural. But then I realized you can have a purpose. And then I realized not only can you do it, you can have real impact doing it.
Right.
I saw through his stories how many people he has moved. And that's when I've known from the time I was a child that I need to live a life of service. That's just a thing I've known my whole life. It's just, that's the purpose of being alive. And I wouldn't have come to it so quickly, at least, if it weren't for him. So seeing that that could happen, then you have to ask yourself, what can I offer the world? What can I offer the world without, you know, shortchanging the world? And I can offer the world my stories. I can offer the world my resources, because I am privileged enough, or I was privileged enough to have therapy, to have the time to take a month off and drown myself in like books and working on the inner child wounds and the subconscious, and really like understanding the technicalities that go behind the way my mind is wired and how that's screwing me up. And I'm like, now I have the opportunity to share all of this with people who don't have that time. A lot of people, I think people who need therapy the most have least access to it. And at the very least, I can share tips, right? At the very least, I can tell you, don't look at your phone for the first hour because it really helped me out. Just go try it. And I think that's just how it started. Like, it started with, I need to live a life of service. And came someone knocking on my door. I'm so privileged that that happened. I would not be a content creator if it wasn't for the exposure that I got through Aegon. And then it became, I need to tell my story. I need to do like my thing here and share, you know, mental health stuff, psychology stuff.
Thank you for sharing that really powerful story. And I think the way you've been able to translate your interest in being of service to others into content creation is so powerful. And I oftentimes, you know, when I talk to different people who are content creators, I'll often say there's a difference between being an influencer and being an impactor. And this is something that I got from one of my dear friends here in Cape Town, a woman named Rue, who's also very energetically aligned, and you know, and on her own growth and healing process. You know, and so we kind of distinguish that between, you can be an influencer and sort of have a really big following on social media, have a lot of fans, and you just share videos or share pictures just for the sake of it, right? And that's cool. Like, if that's what you want to do, if that's what pays the bills, you can do that. That's fine. But that's not the same as someone who's an impactor, someone who actually has a big following, has a platform, and then is able to change the world, shape people's perspectives, change the narrative of the world that we live in, you know, as a result of it. Because that's not the same thing. Those things aren't synonymous. You can have a big following. It doesn't mean that you're actually changing the world, right? And when I see you, and when I see Project Nightfall and Project Nightfall, you know, organization, you actually are having an impact. You know, you're actually changing the way that the world moves, the way that the world interacts with one another, the stories that people need to hear, you know, and even your own personal page as well. And I just think that's super commendable, because not everybody is doing that.
Thank you. That's so sweet. I think we always it's always just so nice to hear someone see that, right? See that it's possible. And also I think everybody just needs to know their why. It's so important. Like, life just happens if you don't know your why. And like, even I found myself, especially after getting into content creation, that if I didn't have a clear why, I would just be like, whoa, what is this new world? And like, okay, people can be really nice, but they can also be really, really mean. And then it's like, okay, what do I really want to do? Like, is it the views here, or is it what I was really here for? Like, it's a whole journey. And, do I focus on my relationship or focus on all the work that needs to get done? And your why is just help. And I think it's the same, right? Do you have a following? Is that why you do it? Do you do it because that's your key, or do you do it because you really want to be able to impact that life? And your answer just guides you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So for everybody watching this right now, whether you're watching us live on Instagram or watching the rerun on YouTube, what is your why? Like, tell us in the chat. What is your why? Why do you do?
Yeah, I would love to know.
Like,
what is
we want to know.
What is your, you know your why? I'm sure you know your why.
No one's ever asked me that before, actually. But if I had to give an on-the-spot answer, you know, I would say that my why is to create a more, probably something along the lines of like creating a more diverse world. And the world is very diverse, but I guess the sense of having people being able to see people that look like them, people that they can relate to,
holding space for every diverse being. I fully can understand that. It's so important. Like, my best friend was telling me, because she watches this show. I don't have that much time for Netflix. She watched, I think it's Bridgerton. Is it Bridgerton? Yeah. And she was telling me, like, it's just, I was like, oh, what's this about? Why are you watching? And she's like, it's just so cool to see someone of my color. Like, she looks like me. And is that the show with like the Indian queen or princess? Am I getting this right? Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. And so she's like, it's just so, like, that's why I'm watching it. I'm watching it because when I was growing up, I didn't see that. It was just impossible. It was just always going to be a white person. And now she's not just of any color. It's the same with like Encanto and whatnot, right? It's just so nice when it's a possibility. And I think it starts young. Like, it's really important that a child sees that. because then she dreams, or then he dreams. And it just becomes tougher to dream when you're going along like with life, and there's just less, you know, you become more cynical. I feel I did, at least. I'm becoming better now again. But with Akon's influence, he's the most positive like bubble ever. He's a sunshine, and it's impossible to be negative with.
Oh my
So
God.
that's.
Well, I totally felt that, and I know Agon is watching. Shout out Agon. Shout out Project Nightfall. Thank you for being here. You know, we love having you here and supporting Sonya. And you're right. Like when you meet those people who just have insane energy, who just you know, who are just always light and bright and embracing different people, different backgrounds, different cultures. That's really, you know, that's really where it's at. That's where it needs to be at, you know. And it's
Of
like
course.
that
Like everyone.
Yes, exactly. And like yes. And even this right here is so powerful, you know, two women of color going live, sharing our experiences about resiliency, about growth, about healing our inner child. Like, yes. Like this is it right here.
That's what I'm about. I think it's important, but you know, it's like, I want to just relate back to your friend thing. I'm not discouraging your friend at all, but your friend was saying, like, I don't want to keep having to go for therapy. And of course, you don't have to, you do really decide when you want to stop. But there does come a point where you really start to see so much good come out of it that you're like, let me dig more. Let me dig more. Like, I'm about to go have therapy with my mom for the first time, which I'm nervous about, but excited. Like, the fact that I can do that with my mom, like, it's insane. You know, Agon has gone for therapy on his own. And, you know, it rubs off. And I think it also reaches a point where you have to go, okay, let me like slow down and like, you know, make it a little bit more steady and not just deep dive and just always find something else to work on. I think it also can become a little bit of a, like, there's so much going on in my head that I just need to unpack and unpeel all the time, you know? And so sometimes I feel like there's a need to just also balance. Balance is important.
Yes, I agree completely. I would say sort of the primary person who I go to for my growth journey is not a therapist, but actually an acupuncturist.
Ooh,
and
I've heard
yes, and I think there's this idea out there that acupuncture is like kind of very specifically for like the physical body. Like, okay, I have pain here or pain there, so I need to go do acupuncture. But I don't have any physical body issues that I go to acupuncture for. I go to acupuncture for my mental body, for my emotional body, for my intellectual body. And I really feel like yes. And I feel like this woman who I go see for my acupuncture, you know, sometimes I'll go once every 2 weeks. Sometimes I'll go once a month. You know, I'll just go whenever I feel called to go, whenever my body's telling me, okay, you need to go get acupuncture. You know, I really feel like she's helping to align me energetically so that I can see and be the best version of myself, you know? And she's the person who I found who is my therapy, you know, who is the person who I really trust and go to, along with there's definitely some other people as well. Girl, I go to Thai massages every single month. I go, I'm like, these Thai ladies have magical medicinal hands. They like work, they just
they're amazing. But no, but like, because that's so powerful what you just said. Like, not everyone needs to go for therapy. What everyone needs is either a person or an outlet or something that helps them become better or stay in alignment or really just be who they're meant to be most authentically. And acupuncture, I'm going to definitely try it.
Yeah,
for sure.
See? Something new. I hope everybody is like taking notes right now.
Yeah, take notes. Acupuncture. I really want to go try it. You have like body stuff, so maybe it'll help with that too. Yeah, I always have knots in my shoulder, like all the time.
Yes. Maybe the acupuncturist can get to the root cause of those knots. Why do you have knots? You see that?
I'm gonna be sharing with you.
Literally, I'm like, did you go to therapy today? Did you go to acupuncture today? We'll be like DMing.
Oh my god. So accountable person to just keep you accountable. No, but
Yes.
this is just so, I love that I've just learned something new. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. So I know we have about 15 minutes left here on the live. And what I want to do is I want to give folks who are here, I know now it's gone so fast. We're like, I want to give some of the folks who are here on the live a chance to ask some questions. So if you're looking here on the live right now on Instagram, you can go to the bottom of your screen, click on the little thought bubble with the question mark, click on that. And then you can go and ask a question for Sonya, and I will read them out loud and I will ask them for her. So once again, thought bubble at the bottom of your screen, click on that what the question mark is. You can type in a question. That's better than doing it in the chat, because in the chat box, it just like flies by too fast and then we can't go find it. So put it
You're teaching me more things. I'm so bad with this stuff. Now I know.
Well, this is
when
your first live.
Like fully interview you, at least I'll know how to use the interface.
Yes, coming soon.
It's been really so to you so far. Like, thank you for making the time. I'm honored that you decided to do this.
Oh my gosh, I'm honored that you said yes. And this has just been such a dynamic and lovely conversation. And lots of lessons learned, lots of growth moments and opportunities. So I think the last thing that I'll ask you before I throw it over to everybody who's here who wants to ask questions is, what's next for you? What's on the horizon? Tell us about some exciting projects or opportunities you have coming up so that we, your friends, your fans, your followers, we can continue to support you.
Amazing. Thank you for asking. Well, there's so much that's next. I think I compartmentalize my life in like 3 segments right now, which is like regular life, family, and relationship and whatnot. And then there's my own personal page, and then there's Project Nightfall. Actually, like Project Nightfall itself is just such a huge part of my life that even my next is Project Nightfall, right? And we are building the largest and biggest organization, humanitarian organization on the metaverse. That's our goal. Wow. I don't even think there are humanitarian organizations. Actually, don't quote me on this, but I don't think there are humanitarian organizations on the metaverse. But it's our baby, Aegon and I's, and Aegon and mine. And it's just amazing to see that we'll be able to reach people, as I said, who least have access to help. So of course we do work in the real world, but like for me personally, I'm super excited. I'm setting up a drop-in center within the metaverse, so within our plot, and people will be basically therapists, counselors will be partnered with anyone in the world who kind of goes in and they get that chat going. So I'm trying to reach people who would just never get therapy. And it's such a huge thing to be able to do, because even if 10 people use it, which is obviously just like a preliminary thing, it's going to be so great. And there's so many things, but this is the one that I'm most excited about. Yeah.
Wow. You're blowing all of our minds here. Like therapy and resources and mental health in the metaverse. I mean, this is absolutely... has the potential. We recently did like a summit and like a speaking engagement on how we can use the metaverse for good. And you heard Aegon speak as well at the NAS summit. And it's similar. It's in the same vein, right? You can use it to do so much more good, because there are places in the world that don't have access to clean water, but they have mobile phones, and they probably need the most help, which is going to happen with this new technology and infrastructure. So that's what I'm most excited about. And that's what's next. Wow. Well, we are so excited for you and for Aegon and for Project Nightfall. We love the work that y'all are doing, and we're excited to continue to ride this wave of the future, with you. I'm maybe my first therapist will be in the metaverse, there, for sure. You're gonna be live hosting shows, I'm sure. For sure. I'm ready for it. I'm ready. Who wants to hire me in the metaverse? I'm ready. Me. I love it. It will happen. It's happening soon. It's happening soon. Okay, Sonya, let me throw it over to some of the awesome folks who are here on the live today so I can answer and ask some of their questions. There's just a comment here first from Mr. Chandu. It just says, I love you to the moon, Sonya, with some hearts.
Thank you.
So sweet. So sweet. We love it. Okay, let me see if I can find something else. Ooh, here's another really inspiring just comment. Deja Memes said, I'm ready to jump off of this cliff I'm sitting next to. I want to fly. Oh.
Go fly. Please do it. That's what we're all about.
I know. I'm like, go take that leap. Go fly. You can do it. We believe in you. There's another question here. So here's a question. This is a good one from Larice La Faison, 2007. Larice is saying, what do you think is the best way to deal with anxiety? So what do you do when you have anxiety?
Okay. I love this question because I actually have an answer. For me, and it's not just with anxiety, but it's also with any other negative feeling that you might get. But specifically with anxiety, I have named my anxiety. My anxiety is called Luna. She has a name. And the thing about it is, like, you get a bodily sensation when you're anxious, right? You get the nerves and your chest sort of tightens. Sometimes you can't breathe depending on how bad it gets. And when you can, in that moment, separate yourself from the feeling that you're getting, that the experience that you're going through, it's so powerful because you can say, hey, you're there, I see you, and it's fine that you're here. Speak to me in any way that you need to speak to me. And you hold that space for her. She's not you. You're not your anxiety. And then she leaves. Sometimes she leaves after a while. She takes her time. And sometimes she leaves quickly. And the more you do it, actually, you basically find a way in that moment to catch your anxiety, right? Like, you don't just let it spiral without knowing what's happening. You're like, okay, you're here. And through that method, you also get to say goodbye really quickly. That's really worked for me. I don't know about you, but you should definitely try it out. And breathing always helps.
Thank you so much for that strategy, that tip. I think that's really going to help some people. Yeah. Naming it, giving it its time, and then saying, okay, now we're done. Now go. That's really powerful. Amazing. Okay, let me throw it over to another question. This is a fun one from Suhasini asking, how do you always share the most amazing vibe, and how is your energy always 100%?
This is cheating, okay? Suhasini is our lovely team member, okay? I'm gonna pretend it's not for someone I know, but Suhasini is lovely and always cheering me on. And that just speaks more to her than it does to me. Yeah. And I'm like a chameleon when it comes to energy. So if you open the live show and you're like, bam, then what can I do?
Exactly. You know, energy just like feeds off of one another, you know, just good vibes only, always.
Good vibes.
Beautiful. Okay, the next question I'll ask then, we have a question from Andrea, who's a student at Nas Academy. She takes a lot of courses. Welcome to the live. And Andrea is saying, she is asking, what is your message to teenagers or to young people who are dealing with depression?
Wow. I guess if I had to speak to the past version of me, I really would have wanted her to know that it can be over. It can feel very consuming in that moment, like in the days or weeks or however long, depending on your own situation. When you reach a point where you can't get out of bed, you're there, but you're not there, you're not present. It can feel like, okay, this is going to be my life forever. I just accept it. This is me. I just want anyone who's going through depression to know that you definitely can get out of it. And it is so possible. It's so likely it's going to happen as long as you believe that it's going to end. That's the most important part. So that would be my message, that it will end. I promise you. And you're not alone, and you're heard, and you're seen, and you're loved. And even if you don't have anyone around you right now that makes you feel that way, you really are seen and loved, and the universe has your back for as long as you have your own. And I can go on, but you're just not alone. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing such a powerful message. And I know that resonates with so many people here who are struggling and who want to be seen and they're feeling like they're not. And so, yeah, I see Andrea commenting in the chat. She says, thank you, Sonya. I've been a fan for so long.
Where's Project Night Farm? That's funny. Night Farm.
Oh, so funny. I love that. I love that. So
final question.
What'd you say?
Can I ask a final question?
You want to ask? Yeah, you can ask a final question.
Okay, awesome. So what's next for you? Like, what am I gonna see next?
Amazing. Thanks for asking, babe. So a couple of things coming up for me. The TV show that I just filmed is going to be coming out on YouTube.
Shark Tank, is that like?
Say that again?
Is it like a Shark Tank? Because I only read your description and I wasn't sure if I got it right.
Yes, absolutely. So it is like a Shark Tank style competition. So students from around the world who own their own businesses are pitching their business ideas to an elite panel of investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. And they each stand a chance to win $40,000 for the winning pitch and the winning idea. And it's so global. We've got people from India, people from Ireland, people from Brazil, people from South Africa, people from Switzerland. Like, it's all over the place. These students are like, they're full-time university students and also full-time business owners. So it's very, yeah, I know. They're very impressive. I was like, you're 18 and you've done what? I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, literally.
You're doing just fine, let me remind you.
Yes, thank you. But still, sometimes I'm like, what? I need to step it up a little bit. So that show is going to be coming out on YouTube next month. So you can follow that, youtube.com/GSEA competition. You can subscribe to that channel. That's where it's going to come up. And so that's coming out, which I'm super excited about. And the other thing is that I'm about to hit the road. I'm actually heading to our mutual place, Singapore. I'll be there in a couple weeks.
Me too. I'm
going
to see you there. Yes. I'm going to be there in like 2.5 weeks. Maybe I'll see you live, like live.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it's done. We put it out in the universe. We're manifesting it. It's done. It's happening. Yes, and that would be so cool to see Singapore through your eyes as someone who grew up there for so long. Yes. So
thank you,
Singapore up next. So yes, thank you, Sonya. This has been such a pleasure. I am so grateful that you're here. Also, I have to say that Aegon is asking a lot of questions.
I can't because the chat just like goes.
Yeah, so Aegon, so I'll just say, maybe I'll finish with this. So he's asked a question that's like, how do you maintain being so consistently amazing all the time? So that's just loving, doting boyfriend there. Okay, so we'll leave that. But I actually like his other question. So maybe I'll ask you this if you have 5 minutes, this last question.
I do, of course.
So he's asking, Aegon/Project Nightfall is out here asking, what is the biggest difficulty of being a woman in the social media space?
That's not an easy question because I could go on.
I know.
I think that there are really sort of like weird standards that I've realized I have to sort of meet or fit, or the kind of comments that I get, I'm not so sure Aegon gets at least as often. And I think that's quite infuriating. I get told a lot how I should dress.
Wow.
And quite frankly, like like that's like a massive like fuck you, no. And so it really, really upsets me, especially because like I'm not just Indian, I'm not just Singaporean, I'm also Indian. And it's just been a thing where for the longest time you're told how to dress and whatnot, and it's just something that it's just like a trigger for me. I think I care less now. Content creation gives you a massive thick skin, so that really helps. But I don't like being told what to do as a woman, and I don't stand for it, and I never will.
Yes, girl. Yes, talk to us. Well, that is like the perfect
talk
way
to us. Get naked.
Exactly. Wear whatever you want to wear. Say whatever you want to say. This is us. We're here to say we're 50% of the globe. We're coming. We're coming for everything.
We are.
Sonya, this has been so incredible. I'm so grateful to have had this dialogue with you.
Thank you so much for thinking I was worthy enough to be on your show.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Like I said, immediately when I saw you in Dubai, I was like, I need to get to know this girl. There's something here. We're gonna vibe. We're gonna click.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to hear all about your show, your journey. Share everything with me because I want to know. I don't have many friends in the content creation space, and I'm so glad that now I have you.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, likewise. Friends forever. We've solidified it here on your first ever live. This was incredible.
We have proof.
Thank you.
I love.
Bye, Sonya. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time on NIKKI BANZ Live. Bye.
Bye.